And we're live. Zoom in, bro. Zoom in. It's your time to zoom in. Mason Church, welcome, my man. Good to have you here, bro.
What's up?
We've just been, guys, for everyone who's just tuning in and wondering why we're zooming in. We're looking at like, does zoomed in, is that like a little bit, it feels like really up in your grill, doesn't it? Really up in your grill. So we're gonna step back and we're gonna relax a little bit. Guys, I just want to introduce Mason, by the way. He's a fucking savage. Like when he first met us, Mason was doing 6K a month in sales, and now he's up to 22K a month. And you got a little travel bonus included in that as well. So that was a very, very nice month, and you're really fucking crushing it. Dude, epic.
Yeah. What's up, man? Stoked to be here.
It's really cool. Well, dude, so like first of all, like let's start right back from the beginning and let's get your story. So when we first met you, you're at 6K a month. Why did you decide to reach out to us and have a chat?
I'd heard of like some of your coaches through some mutual friends who were doing really well in sales, and like one of them had actually called me out and was like, "Dude, you're too fucking serious, man. Like, chill the fuck out." And I was like, "Whoa, that was some good feedback." And he's like, mentioned Steve, like one of your guys' coaches, and I was just at a point where it was like my income was trending downward, and I felt like a little bit out of control of my state, my just overall vibe, income. It was not a good place to be. So reached out to Steve and kind of just went for it, man.
So when you say that your income was on a downward trend, what do you think was causing that?
I've been in sales for probably almost 2 years, a little under 2 years. I find there's these waves of just like burnout that I hit where I just don't have any capacity to give like that ability to truly listen to people that's necessary to actually have a productive sales conversation and help change the path of their lives. I think I burned out like 4 or 5 times where I would just have to take a week off or like just couldn't show up. And I felt like that's where I was at.
What does burnout look like to you?
Uh, to me, it just like, it looks like normally on a, like, I guess I'll say what it doesn't look like and what it does is a contrast. Like when I'm feeling good, I feel like I'm focused, I'm clear. And when I feel like I'm burnt out, I feel like I have nothing to give. I feel like I just don't give a shit about anybody I talk to on my sales calls. Like I really disconnected. I'm not present. I'm not real. And I think maybe in my relationships too, short, snappy, just short answers, disconnected, withdrawn, like avoidant. And yeah, it's just kind of a downward spiral, man.
What causes you to get burnt out?
That's a good question. I think when I'm not sleeping properly, not focusing on the basics of my biology, not sticking to like standards or routines or structures that are necessary to like maintain
Standards, yeah.
standards has been a huge thing. Like working with you guys, that's been like a word as opposed to goals. It's been like, what the fuck are your standards?
Yeah, that's probably my biggest thing, man, is like you need to set standards because the standards you set dictate the human that you are, right? So can you run us through like a little bit, like let's delve into standards. That's a sick topic. Can you talk a little bit more on that, man?
Yeah, I think like the standards that I established working with you guys was like first things first was like the amount of time between like when I wake up and I'm at work. It used to be probably like less than an hour from like waking up to just like slapping my ass in the chair and hopping on a Zoom call for sales. And I mean, I kind of made it work, but it was exhausting because I felt like I never had time for me. Like right now, like I always wake up, there's at least 2 hours. Like I'm going, putting my feet in the sand every single morning, grounding, like no matter what, even if it's raining outside, putting my fucking feet in the dirt, like feeling the earth, doing some breath work, chilling out, writing what I'm grateful for. Like, I think there are things that like I've always heard that, you should do, but like I never really implemented or like set that standard or accountability for myself. So
Why not? Why do you think you never did it until working with us?
that's a funny question.
But dude, that's what everyone says, right?
Yeah,
Everyone knows I should sleep better. Everyone knows I should get outside. Everyone knows it, but no one does it. So, like for you, yeah, why do you think that you didn't?
maybe the consequences weren't great enough yet, or I hadn't seen like how much of an impact it was having on me. I think like in that call with Steve, there was kind of some clarity around like, okay, like what are the actual ramifications of this? And I was kind of like future pacing that in a negative way and being like, yeah, man, I can't be having that. And obviously, like when you invest, you pay attention because you just dropped a decent amount of, you're going to follow through on what they say. Or at least you should.
You should, yeah. Otherwise, you waste a lot. That's part of the reason why I spend so much. Like, I'm spending like 300 grand a year on mentoring at the moment, and a lot of it is just to make sure that I do exactly what they say. Because if it's free, you don't really take it as seriously, right?
No, not at all.
And I think another part on there you said, which is really interesting, about how you should sleep better. You should put your feet in the sand. You should go out, do all that sort of stuff. You should take more time for you, but you didn't do it. You mentioned that the consequence isn't seen as great enough, because it sounds kind of fucked up. The difference between you making 6K a month and 22K a month is whether you get better sleep, whether you have time before when you wake up and go to work, and time where you actually start. Why do you think that we don't see these little things? Because in the end of the day, right, the big result, the $22,000 a month, making more than 99.99% of people will ever make in their whole entire life, that is all as a result of doing lots of small little things.
Yeah.
So really, there's two parts to this. Why do you think we never see that? Why do you think we don't look at the little things, the small little steps that lead to the massive crushing it? And number two, how do you think we can change our thoughts so that we can focus on the little things that really, truly matter?
Yeah. So the first piece, meaning like, why don't we ever look at the little things, right?
Yeah.
For me, at least, it's like that theme of reactivity, of just being reactive to fucking everything and anything, every message, every request, every demand of life, just being in that reactive state versus like kind of having boundaries. Like when you don't have boundaries around what your priorities are, then I feel like you just slip into what's in front of you versus what's important. If that makes any sense. So I felt like, I guess before, like it's like those things, but they get pushed to the back burner, those little details, because you're so focused on whatever you're reacting to versus versus having a clear intention of what you're actually out to accomplish.
So because there's so much going on, it's like in that fight or flight state. It's
Yes.
like you don't have enough time to respond. You're merely trying to put out every single fire which is in front of you, instead of doing the big picture stuff, which is actually going to get you the long-term result.
Yeah, I think a piece of it is almost like when you're in that fight or flight, you feel like if you're gonna put more time, it's like a catch-22. And I see it for people on my sales calls, my prospects too, is like, oh, I can't put time into it. But it's like, no, the reason, if you say you can't put time into it, then you fucking must, man. It's like the reason you're saying no is the reason you need to do it.
It's like when I've had a number of people in the past who said, "Oh, I can't afford to do X, Y, Z, whether it's business coaching or whatever it is, or go even like put on a new employee." And it's like, dude, you can't afford not to do that. The person who can't afford to it or doesn't have time is the person who can't afford to not have that time or not afford the money to invest into that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Reasons or results. I was looking at Eli Wild today. That was the one that came up. So reasons or results, right?
Can you expand on that?
It's kind of like you pick one. You only get one, right? So it's like when you're looking to grow and you're looking to expand, you can either have your reasons, which are whatever list of ideas that are running through your mind of why you can't, or you can actually go out there and get the result, but you can't pick both.
So when you see like high performers, I mean, you mentioned Eli Wild, absolute savage. Dude's done like tens or hundreds of millions in dollars in sales. Like he's absolutely phenomenal. What do you see as the difference between people who are low performing, like old Mason Church, and people who are high performing, like new Mason Church and Eli and all the guys who are like absolutely crushing life?
I feel like that focus on state is huge. And like also finding joy outside of work. Like one of the things I picked up working with you guys is I've actually like stepped back into a few of my passions that like I just low key put on the back burner altogether. And like those light me up. Like whether it's surfing, whether it's downhill mountain biking, skating, like I go to the skate park now. Like I haven't done that shit in years, man.
Why?
because it didn't seem like it was productive. I was like, that's not making me money, you know, I got caught up in that trap of like, if it's not directly creating revenue, then, or like learning the skill that's going to make me more money. Like I was in a place the last few years. I came from being like dead ass broke at the beginning of the pandemic, on unemployment, just fired as an engineer. So like the last few years, it was like coming out of that fight or flight. And I just like put everything that was like joyous to me like aside in that like survival state. And I think it would serve me for a bit, but as you evolve, it no longer serves you. And then you have to kind of shift and transform and like come back to what you actually enjoy. Otherwise, you just freaking go back to that burnout.
Totally.
Yeah.
I got a funny story on that, man. So I remember when I first started out in business, I was grinding massive hours. So I was probably punching like 80, 100-hour weeks, week in, week out. And I remember finding out that I had all this spare time where I was taking a shit, right? All this time on the toilet where I could be doing stuff. And it's very ironic this, because I started working and like texting. My toilet time was specifically a time where I'd respond to direct messages and reach out to people who I needed to reach out to, right? So I was in there taking a crap and like texting away, and like didn't value that does it's you don't I don't take long poos, right? They don't
Yeah.
actually take that long. It's not that much out of my day, but I found like 8 or 10 minutes a day where I could squeeze this in. The ultimate irony out of that is I ended up working myself up so much I got fucking constipated, blocked up, and got IBS. And it
Yeah.
cost me so much money. I was obsessed with like, I don't know if you've ever heard, like met anyone with IBS. It's like nasty. It's the worst thing ever. But it's like I was obsessed with making every single minute of my day productive, that
Yeah.
I removed my recovery time. I removed my relaxation, my yin, my feminine time, to actually just play down, relax, take a fucking shit, right? Take a shit and give myself time for that. And I thought that I was going to make more money, but in the end, it cost me tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run. It's crazy, isn't it, when we start to devalue that relaxation and recovery time? So for you, what are
Yeah.
you doing currently to wind down, to be more relaxed, be more present, and allow your body and your mind to recover so that you can actually be more productive throughout the day?
Yeah. I do breath work every single day. That's been huge for me. Like either Wim Hof or like holotropic, kind of like, if you know what I mean.
You're going hard, dude.
Yeah,
Holotropic.
a
That
little bit of
stuff's that's not for mortals, man. That stuff's full on.
yeah, it gets a little weird. Ice baths almost every week, at least once a week. I have this massage guy here in San Diego who's an absolute fucking energy wizard. I'll do like a 5-hour session with him between like infrared sauna, like hop in the ocean, like a couple hours of different types of massage. I do also once a week, every week I go to like an energy healer. It's called like Network Chiropractic. Do you guys have that out there? You ever heard of it?
We don't, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a casual way to just connect with God every week and like have a whole portal open up and just be like, ah, and just get hit with like beams of energy.
My
That
first exposure to network was in a group of chiropractors over here shitting on it, right? So that was the first time and talking about how it's, but you know how anything woo-woo, right, is immediately discarded in Western stuff. Like it's not investigated, the results aren't looked at and all that. And I can't speak for networks. I've never done it, I haven't looked into it, but I just remember that was my first experience. Can you tell us about the woo-woo side of things? Because like you're pretty open to this, you're pretty open-minded, and you've got a very similar mentality to what we do, obviously, and that you only care about the results that it gets, not the methodology behind it.
Yeah,
So, dude, don't you think that's the most retarded thing? Is like so many people care more about the methodology and being right than being helpful or getting a result. It's crazy.
yeah. What is it like? You can be, yeah. At the end of the day, it's like you can either be right or you can actually get the result. 100%. It's like, how much do you care about holding on to your beliefs?
And for
So
some people, the beliefs are everything, right?
yeah. I mean, the woo woo it's been a lot of fun, man. That was like, I think being able to like see life from another perspective. It's like if you're not willing to see life from other perspectives, it gets pretty fucking boring, to be honest. Also, like for me, that's a time to sort of like drop everything, allow myself to feel this like state of expansion, and almost like see myself from like another lens. And that is just so fucking empowering to not take myself so seriously, like once a week, and just be like, okay, we're gonna recharge for a second.
So, what are you using? Like, which parts? Because you've got a pretty extensive recovery protocol. Like, what are you exactly are you doing to get into that state?
With the network work specifically, or just in
Yeah,
general?
definitely. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, the network stuff's really dope, man. They have like a lot of breath work involved with that. It's called like a system. It's called like the 12 stages of healing, which is like Donnie Epstein is the guy who like wrote this book. You can look it up. It's fucking epic. Um, there's basically like different breathwork modalities that are attached to like different phases of healing and different like sort of human experiences. So like an example of one of those would be like it's called stage 4 out of the 12. And what that stage is about is the feeling of I'm stuck. So like when you're just feeling fucking stuck, like that's like literally the energy involved with it. There's like a you just keep getting like building that energy and you just fucking scream like, oh, I'm stuck. Like there's different breath work involved with it, but then they also will like touch you in different spots and it'll help like kind of open up meridians in your body. And I the funniest thing is like when that dude tried to sell me into the program to do it, he was the worst salesperson. I love him, but I was like, what the fuck are you selling me, man? Like, I don't know what this is. I got on that table. He put a hand on my body. I burst into tears just instantaneously. The amount of release in the nervous system that just shattered out of me. I was like, okay, well, you got a customer for life. Holy shit. So that has been critical for my mindset. 100%, man.
That's
Yeah.
epic, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So then has this led you down any further? Like, you know what's interesting, dude, is pretty much every single one of our top performers that we've ever coached always has some form of like spiritual growth. Because in the end of the day, most people shit on spirituality and stuff like that and like this growth. But in the end of the day, it's just finding out what the fuck your purpose is and who you are, right? That's essentially what it is. And also shedding a little bit of that ego and arrogance that we have about how we know everything. And notice that like every single person who we coach is a top performer always has some form of or direction down like a spiritual line. So
Yeah.
for you, what are your next moves? Where are you going now that you've started opening up and looking at things from a different perspective?
Oh, God.
Go deep, bro.
Yeah. I think right now, this next phase, like I'm in a discovery phase. If it's like seasons of life, right? I do feel like I'm at a point of discovery. Like I've gotten quite consistent and like stable within like the job, locked in an incredible relationship with a woman who I love. Like all these pieces that I've like wanted to manifest for years have like like fallen into place. And there's actually a little bit of like I feel a little empty sometimes right now in a way. Like I'm looking for that next vision. So I'm like letting it come to me and it's incredibly uncomfortable to not just have like the clear, oh yeah, this is the next phase for me. I'm open. Like one of the things I experimented with this year is like just moving more into like giving, like donated a couple grand to like build a house in Mexico for a family. So I'm like, okay, is my purpose to give? Is my purpose to, I know it's some level of service, but I just don't know what it is quite yet, if I'm being really honest.
That's sick. I love that. So what I'm hearing from that is that you've solved a whole heap of problems that you used to have, and you've gotten to that stage where you're like, "Fuck, what now?" Is that right?
Yeah, that's what it feels like for sure. It's like all the because like those things are on track as long as I continue to show up, put in the effort, which I do. Then like those things are trending, and I see them to continue to be in a positive uptrend. And now it's like there's been a couple of moments of like depression from it for like temporarily where I'm like, what the fuck is next? And feeling a little bit almost lost, even though I got everything I really asked for.
It's fucked, isn't it? That
Yeah,
feeling. I
I was like,
remember
I was
it.
like, almost take me back a few months. God damn
Yeah,
it.
make life shit again. I want to go make 6 grand a month again. It's so much easier there. But it's true, right? When you
Yeah.
have all those problems, it's so much easier. I remember for me, like I hit a stage where I never have to work again, right? And like it's not like I never have to work again by moving to Thailand or Bali and living off 10K a year. It's like living here in Noosa, one of the most expensive like places in Australia where I live, and it's like, and I never have to work again, and like living a good life, getting to that financial stage, and having that realization is like, fuck, I never have to work again. What do I do now? You're right. You go into like this little depression. You're like, what next? It's like, it feels like that, you know, that meme where you see Pablo Escobar sitting on the swing by himself. It's just sitting there. It's like, you
Fuck.
know, just waiting. But it's seriously, it's like that, right? And it took me ages to get over it. And pretty much what I found, and I'm really glad you're going down the giving route, is that when we live just for ourselves and we're operating out of just scarcity and fight or flight, if we use Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we've got food, water, shelter, like right down at the bottom. If that's all we're focusing on, food, water, shelter, and connection, once we solve those two things, I mean, that's like what most of humanity is searching for. If you look at what we're taught, we're just taught about let's make more money, build a bigger business, get married, have kids, reproduce, and then you're all set. And then when you get that, you're like, fuck, what is the next thing? And like finding the next thing I always found is giving and growth and creating something bigger. We often get to the stage where we're making a lot of money. We want to like dial it back, but that's the fucking worst thing that we can do. Once you get to the stage where you have everything that you need to go harder. You need to make something bigger because that is the only way that you'll find happiness, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So it's definitely a growth path. And I'm open to that point when I'm like totally financially like peace out. I still am working. And even within the still needing to work phase, I still feel that emptiness, which I think is so interesting. So I'm like, holy shit, when I don't, we need to grow even more. That's for sure.
You need to
Which,
keep
what a
growing, man.
blessing, what a blessing, right?
It is. It's seriously, it is the most privileged depression that you'll ever experience in your life,
Yeah,
right?
like, I just felt like called to say that for a second. I was like, okay, let me hear myself. Fuck.
Legit. And
Yeah,
it's hard to understand if you haven't been through it. I remember like looking at when I was younger, looking at all these depressed and miserable billionaires, and I was like, "You fucking ungrateful cunts!" It's like,
yeah,
look at you and your yachts and with all these supermodels and all this stuff. How could you not be happy? But it really is. It's difficult when you get to that stage. I was talking with a dude about it on the beach. He's like, just the other day, I ran into him, had a nice chat, and he was saying the same thing. The direction, the purpose thing is really difficult. So at the moment, are you doing anything? I know you're looking towards giving, but are you doing anything currently to help find that next step for you, help make that next move?
it's sort of been like reconnecting with reconnecting with learning and reconnecting with passions. So like getting out of my comfort zone, just trying new shit. Like I'm learning to play the harmonica right now. Uh,
Sick.
yeah, so I think like part of my next phase is like stepping back into another level of expression, and I'm not quite sure what it looks like yet. Whether that's music, whether that's freaking poetry, like speaking. I don't know what it is quite yet. There's a craving for expression and contribution for sure.
Totally.
Yeah, which
Uh,
is fairly vague at this point.
Yeah, but I think it's like from my end, looking at it and what you're going through, and comparing it to myself and a lot of the other guys who I've coached who've been through what you're going through, it's the same sort of thing, man. Because we find that for so long we are looking to conform to a certain standard to fit in, to be able to make money. We like kind of shift who we are. And then when we pop out the other side and we're like, oh fuck, I don't want to be that guy anymore. I want to be truly me. And then we
Yeah,
have to spend all this time actually figuring out who the fuck we actually are because we get beaten in. Like if you look at school, man, school is like a 12-year indoctrination sequence, and
yeah,
it is beautifully done. I mean, what genius decided to create generations of employees and people who can't think for themselves,
yeah,
right? Like just indoctrinating it. And then we've got to like, once we get out on the other side of that, we've then got to go and unpeel all this shit and figure out who we actually are. It's fucking magical, man. I'm
yeah,
excited to hear you play the harmonica. It's going to be wicked.
yeah, yeah. So like one of the goals I put is like next 90 days. I just started learning it.
Yeah.
So to like actually go, there's like a local cafe here. It's like this like hippy dippy, like vegan, gluten free, raw. I'm not pro vegan, anti vegan, but it's really good. But they do like an open mic night there, and gonna go like rip harmonica, and that's like my stretch right now.
Do it. Please send us a video. I'll repost it to thousands of people for you.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So I'm looking forward to it.
That would be awesome. That's really cool. So I guess, dude, like the next thing is like if you find someone or if someone in here is listening to this and they're in a similar situation to you, right? Actually, let's go similar situation to where you were, where you're stuck at 6K, you've got all this friction, you're feeling burned out, you got the highs and the lows and all that sort of stuff. What would you tell them to do? How could you, if you could help them out with a couple of little tips or tricks, what would you tell them to do to get started on fixing that?
Dude, I think having the consistency of the gym, just like a standard around what is your workout standard, like having that. I was working out before this, but I didn't have any plan in place. So I was like in all like honesty, just going in there, kind of like doing what I felt like and leaving. Having accountability to like a basic standard for me of the gym was like huge for my energy and just like the way that I showed up everywhere else.
Mm.
Um, Learning to zoom out from the day to day. If you're in a position like I am, that's more volatile in a sense, like I'm still susceptible to it. Like I notice it even today, like big time. If you're in sales, you're in business, like it's volatile. It's not like you're an employee where work 8 hours and you got, X amount of dollars. Like there's none of that. Being able to zoom out and look at longer term trends, like not just the week, not even just the month, like the quarter, and actually having data on your performance for me was like so exciting. Like Steve is always like, okay, zoom out. I'm like freaking out. He's like, zoom out. That's been huge for my stress levels.
It helps having that person there to lean on and to give you perspective, because I heard this great expression from a friend of mine named Kim Barrett. It's like, it's very difficult to see the label when you're inside the bottle.
100%. Yeah, because like I never feel like I'm doing enough in a sense. Like it's chronic. I'm like, like I'm not doing shit, like I'm not doing enough. And having that reminder of like the outside source and having support around you, I think is critical. So like investing in yourself with a coach of some sort or some sort of accountability is fucking huge. And L-theanine, dude. Like I was joking with you, I think before we even turned this thing on live, like there's certain supplements that you guys recommend, and I was like, dude, give me an affiliate link for this shit. Like I'm gonna start slinging it on the streets. Like it's like street legal chill pill, and that helped a fuck ton in terms of my stress levels. Like I immediately noticed that. Like I was like, phew. Just like I don't know how to explain that feeling. Like I was feeling stressed about not being stressed almost.
Mm.
Yeah, like addiction to the emotions of stress was like kind of breaking when I started to take that, get my routine in place, grounding every morning. Like it's been a freaking odd experience, but great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the you're chasing those little dopamine hits. I call it task addiction. It's where like I got to be on my phone. I got to be doing this. I got to be doing this. And if you don't do it, you literally you're like, fuck, I don't have anything to do. I don't know what it is. And you're looking for that next hit of a task that you can complete, no matter how unhelpful it is, no matter how little or stupid it is, or how detrimental to your long term goal it is. You're just like looking for that next hit, right?
100% guilty. Yeah, I've been there.
Totally. Most people have, man. Have you tried reishi yet?
I think so. Yeah.
We gotta get you on that. That stuff's next level. Theanine's like entry level. Reishi's like a whole new thing. So the reason why I love reishi so much is because reishi gets more powerful over time, and it accumulates. It gets better and better and better. Whereas theanine actually it reduces. Yeah, reishi compounds. That's why we like it. So that's why we've shifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, over the last few months, we're shifting all of our supplements away from old school JCF. So we used to love like theacrine, theanine, all that sort of stuff, and they're fucking wicked. But it gets lesser over time. But lion's mane, cordyceps, like reishi, all the mushrooms and stuff, they're actually causing environmental changes within your microbiome and within your body, and it just gets more and more effective. It's fucking wicked.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely have to get back on the shrooms then.
Get on the shrooms, all the good stuff, right?
Yeah,
psilocybin included. Psilocybin's very effective. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you can't be saying that stuff." Psilocybin's highly effective. Not that I would recommend anyone take it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Don't do it.
My disclaimer.
Drugs
Don't
kill.
do it. Don't do it. Yeah, drugs kill. Yeah, you might end up highly successful, like everybody ever in Silicon Valley who took them.
Yeah. You wouldn't want that now, would you?
No, it's bad. That's bad. Dude, if there's anyone on here, right, who's watching who's like sitting on the fence about working with us at JCF or learning about this stuff, and because we do some crazy shit, we talk about some weird stuff. I was saying, I compared going vegan to like chopping your dick off the other day. So a lot of the things that we talk about are pretty out there and very, very different to like what a lot of people do. And I can see how to be, confronting or scary or daunting or something. What would you tell them to anyone who is actually sitting on the fence about doing what you want to do, about what you've done?
like, it's interesting because like when I invested, I've invested a lot in myself, so like I didn't really care like what the investment was, or I was just like, dude, here's my card, like let's fucking go. Like it was, it didn't have to take me through a sales process. But if you're not used to investing in yourself, then it's like if you want unreasonable results, you're going to have to start making unreasonable decisions, right? And to become the kind of person who's going to get results that nobody typically has, you're going to have to do things that most people typically won't.
I
So
love
like
that, dude.
one of the things that, as an example, things that people typically would do is, and what's so frustrating is that people will just watch things like this all day, but never really do anything about it. So I just love, like when you can find those people, right, who actually aren't just going to look at it, but they actually go for it. Because it's like they're going to get the fucking results, man.
Be unreasonable.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it, dude.
Like it comes back to full circle, like the results or reasons, right, that I brought up earlier. And I was thinking about that today, reflecting on it within myself. It's like, if you're watching this and your dialogue is like, oh, that sounds nice, but like whatever that but is like, that's the reason why you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like literally take that as like the fuel to the fire to actually like take action and shift your perception, like shift your reality. That's sort of what comes through for me.
That's dope.
Like why stay
Dude.
stuck? I mean, it's like, unless you like where you're at, it's cool. You can just chill, like lovingly. Gotta push a little bit.
Yeah. We call it, it's like we get to a stage where we're comfortable in discomfort. Where it's like we have all this stuff that we're not happy with, and we just become so comfortable and okay with sitting in our shit, sitting in our filth. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's really fucking sad. But as soon as, like, if you actually want something and you want to be better, I actually love how you put that. If you want unreasonable results, you have to make unreasonable decisions. It's
Yeah.
awesome. And take unreasonable actions.
Yeah. It's simple. Like, I remember getting back into investing. Like the first coach I invested in was probably like 8K. I remember that. It was like 8K US a few years ago. And what is that Aussie dollars? Probably like 12 or so.
Like 10, 11K, yeah.
Yeah, 10, 11. And like, man, I shit my pants. For like a week, I was having panic attacks after that. Like literally my ego was freaking out. Fucking idiot. Like every thought that went through the books. And it's like, if I hadn't made that decision back then, I would be living on my aunt's couch. I'd be on unemployment with the US government. I'd be depressed as shit, and I'd still be in chronic pain, like fucking hating my life. So it's like, what's the alternative, mate? Like if you're not happy with your circumstances, like, dude, fucking do something. Like that's it.
Totally. I love that, man. Dude,
Yeah.
what an awesome way to wrap up. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother. I'll speak to you soon.
Peace.